Hello, hockey and basketball fans. My name is David. Thought I would start this video 5:19 on the afternoon of Tuesday, 20th of February, 2023, North American Eastern Time. Thought I would do first is go to an updated so-called panic index put out by the BC Lower Mainland-based Hockey Guy YouTube man. Just going to do that over there. As you can see, there's a panic index, so-called panic index. See, the Leafs are, waiting for the playoffs. Hockey Guy YouTube man claimed the Leafs hadn't had a very fantastic record over the last 10 games, but it's hard to complain too much because they are. Oops. The lights dimmed. All right, so that's perfect here. So see, the Leafs are up in it's kind of just wait for the postseason, see what happens. Sens are doing okay, but just under the halfway point between super happy and super panicked. I mean, I don't blame the Hockey Guy YouTube man for having made the claim. Well, it's going to be a crucial game on this Tuesday Eastern Time at home to the Red Wings to, it's game 2 at back-to-back. Give me a second here. Game 2 of that series. Very crucial one. Sens got to win that game. If you're going to have a chance, at least to do it in, preferably in regulation. And, the Calgary Flames, it's not surprising that they are, closer to the panic line than closer to being super duper happy. I mean, it's been a struggle. I mean, 2 games in a row. It's been, consecutive games they've lost. First the Golden Knights last week in overtime, and then after having blown a 3-1 lead, and then not even coming anywhere near getting a lead against the Avs over the weekend. So, I'm just going to try to brighten things up a little bit. Surprised that the Hockey Guy YouTube man ranked the Oilers so low. But then again, to be fair, the Oilers have lost 2 straight games in regulation, and they got a crucial game against the Leafs coming up, and if these Oilers don't get at least a point out of that game, well, things could get pretty dicey pretty quickly in Central Alberta oil country. Oops, seriously that. So I'm not, however, surprised the Flames of that are below the are close to being in a panic. I'm surprised the Hockey Guy YouTube man didn't put the Calgary Flames much lower than that. I mean, these Flames have not just been notoriously inconsistent, they've slipped out. I'll get to the standing to the mitt, but they have definitely slipped out. Oops. I hate this. So, Winnipeg Jets? Well, yeah. I mean, I'd say the Flames and Jets are about the same in terms of panic. Jets having trouble winning games and having problems with scoring, problems with defense, and who knows what would happen. Not surprised the Habs are over, time to wait for the draft, or that the Canucks are on the bottom road either. I mean, perhaps the Canucks should be already over to wait for the draft time. It's just a matter of where they draft in the top 16. But anyone wishing to see the Canucks in a top 16 draft, top 16 spot in any given round of the NHL draft, well, will not be disappointed. Because these Canucks are well out of a playoff spot. I'll get to that a little bit later. So now we get over to the TV broadcast schedule. So this just going to just trying to figure out how to unlock a given device so I can get some more light on there. I do apologize. Just going to try to get some light on. Alright, so just going to do that there. So it's on NHL Center Ice. We have the Kings and Jets. And we're going to have on, just going to go where the Raptors are on TSN or not. Just gonna see here. Okay, on a couple TSN channels, the Raps will be on, and then we look at on the various Sportsnet channels, the Bruins and Flames, and also down the bottom about the Habs and Sharks. So NHL's in the right, so that'll be good. There'll be a lot of games though. But before I get into more on the NHL teams, what I would do is head over to where the Raptors are at. And that'll be interesting here. So you can see the Raptors in February so far have, well, they've put together quite a number of wins after a not so good January. But the Raptors are still in 10th, or 9th or 10th, whatever. Alright, so. Except cookies. So, in terms of the NBA, I really only follow the Raptors. Because the Raptors are the only Canadian team, and because I live in Canada. So, alright, so I'm just going to try to get the standings loaded here. If I can, using a Maxon browser. Alright, so, I'm going to... Oh, come on. Just hate when those annoying pop-ups happen. So what I'll do is we're going to focus on the Raptors and... yeah, the playing around. So really, any team below the Orlando Magic, basically Hornets and Pistons are just going to be probably just getting ready for the upcoming NBA draft. So basically, below 13th, probably the Raptors will finish not lower than 13th in the East. However, that doesn't mean the Raptors are going to necessarily make the postseason. Or get to play in the playing round. The Raps, over their history, have never played in the playing round. They may, but you never know. So yeah, it's the Raps are 1.5 games ahead of the Chicago Bulls for a play-in spot. Getting into a top six spot will not be easy. I mean, the Raps are 5 games out of 6th for an automatic playoff spot. But they can get closer to the Hawks. They have a chance to if there's a win over the Bulls. Who knows though? I'm sure these Bulls are very determined to try to hang on there and may very well give the Raptors some fits. It's not like the Raps bench has been necessarily consistent. And that is why I see the Raptors as having a tough time beating the Bulls. Who knows though? We'll see what happens. Thought I would now turn to the NHL standings. See where your teams are at. Just going to your teams are at. Just going to turn off the light there. Smartphone, just turn off the light. Whoops. All right. So it's going to go. So see the Leafs having over a dozen points ahead of the Sabres for a top 3 Atlantic Division spot. The Sens and Habs are much further back, 62 and 54 points. And I think the question will be if the Sens can keep up the momentum, take 2 points out against the Wings, whether that happens to be in regulation, which would be ideal, overtime or shootout. Overtime or shootout win by the Sens will mean the Sens gain 1 point on the Wings. But again, I wouldn't I thought at one point earlier in the season the Sens were not going to make it. But again, it's not going to be easy either. Here's why that it may very well be that come summer, when there's new ownership, Pierre Dorion, the GM, may very well be out of a job. Who knows, though? Thought I would go to the standings in the Central Division, and oh, look at that. The Oilers have lost 2 straight, both in regulation. Coming into an important game against the Leafs. These Jets are struggling. They've lost 3 games, all in regulation. And yeah, who knows? I'll get into the games to be played by various Canadian teams in a moment. But I thought that first of all that the Jets are lucky to be as they are, given how they've struggled, because the Flames have, well, not done particularly well in their last 10 games either. They figure when it comes to the, in the Central, got to worry about the Pacific Division teams, and, well, we'll see what happens. Canucks are, well, probably not going to make it either. They're just too far out. So what I would do now is in the last 10 games, how have various Canadian teams done? So, in terms of points earned over the last 10. Oops. All right. So keeping in mind that the records have 3 numbers. First is wins, 2 is regulation losses, and third is losses in extra time. I like to separate overtime and shootout losses because, shootouts, shootouts only count as 1 goal even if more than 1 goal is scored within them. So what I thought I would do is, number 1 among Canadian teams in the last 10 in terms of points earned, we have the Leafs with 14. The Sens are number 2 with 13. The Habs are number 3 with 10. The same number that the Oilers also have. So the Habs and Oilers are tied for 3rd most points among Canadian teams in the last 10 games with 10 apiece. Canucks are 5th on points in the last 10 with 9. All right, so yeah. Oh yeah, same number. So we have 9. So we have. All right, we have 3rd, 4th. All right, let's just go here. So Leafs, Sens, Habs. So Habs are tied with the Oilers for 3rd. So that means we have 5th in terms of 5th most point. In terms of 5th on points earned among Canadian teams, we have the Canucks and Flames. Jets are dead last among Canadian teams with 8 points earned over the last 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it back to the default with the wild card. Now to go to a schedule of games. And it's going to go to various Canadian teams in action. So we have the Sens hosting the Wings. The first game to take place. Starting a bit later. Number 2 in terms of start time of the relevant broadcast. And now a pregame show, we have the Jets hosting the Kings. A rather important game for the Jets to win because, well, they have hit the skids. They gotta get back somehow. Maybe the acquisition from the Preds of winger Nino Niederreiter will help. Who knows though? Maybe the Jets need quite a few Niederreiters. Who knows what's gonna happen? So what I would do is gonna go down to and then number 3 on the night, we have the Flames hosting the Bruins on 3 different Sportsnet channels. And then we have TSN covering the Habs away game to the Sharks. So that's going to be interesting here. So now what I would do is go to monthly review for various Canadian teams. So you look at the Habs. Oops. Alright, so let's see here. Alright, please excuse me whilst I try to work out the technical difficulties. I do apologize for this. Alright. Okay, I'm just gonna do is just. Alright. Oh, I hate this. Whoa. Hate when the computers just, they scroll slow. So, now I'm gonna go to the monthly review. So, Habs will end the month having earned over half a point per game on average, regardless of what happens against the Sharks in terms of games that began at any point this month Eastern Time. So now I'm going to go to the Sens and how they've done this month. So let's go see here. Alright, so what we're going to do is, they don't really show, but we have technically that that the first game should have been updated already. It was a regulation win, so that was 5-3-1-0 win, regulation loss, overtime loss, shootout loss record. And they have the chance to finish their 10-game month with as many as 13 points. Who knows though? They have 11, and they have 11 so far. So a rather okay month after a rather disastrous November, which saw them kind of slip to the bottom, slip almost to the bottom of the NHL. So now what to do is go to the Leafs, and let's go February here. Let's go to February here. Alright, so after 9 games, very respectable record, although, yes, the Leafs didn't manage to win more than 3 games at a time. That said, they did get the points. They got a lot of points. They got 12 out of a possible 18. Overall, a very good month, but March is going to be a tough one, and they'll be playing 14 games. So an average of slightly under half a game per over the 29 days, ending the 29th of March Eastern Time. So now go to the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm just gonna do. So now go to the Winnipeg Jets. So let's see where the hell Jeff February has gone. Oh, not so well. The last 3 games have been losses. No more than 1 goal scored. Although this month, the Jets have managed to, when they have allowed a maximum of 2 goals, they've done rather respectably. So we have 3-1 when they've allowed, not more than 2 goals. But when they've allowed 3 or more, they've lost each and every time. Okay, so the Jets, aren't losing the games like the Canucks in terms of, they give up these 3 goals and they're in trouble. And, they're not like every night. But again, it's just happened too often, and, well, they've slipped. They've slipped. So now to go to the Oilers and see how they've done this month. Their month is over, so it's now on to March, and hosting the Leafs on Wednesday Eastern Time, and then on Friday and Saturday it's going to be home and home with the Jets. Hosting the Jets on Friday, but flying into the Peg for a game on the Saturday. So now I'm going to go to how did the Oilers do in February? Ooh, not great. The Oilers ended up winning just 4 of their 11 games, although in 4 of the games that they lost, they earned points. 3 in shootouts, and 1 in overtime. So overall, after 11 games, the Oilers earned 12 points. Not great by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to see as well as how about in terms of when the Oilers ended up, they had problems scoring in some games. Well, yeah. The Bruins they did. The Bruins and Flyers ended up having some problem. Bruins, Flyers, and Habs. The scored under 3 goals, and up losing all 3. 2 in regulation, the other in a shootout. If the Oilers allowed a maximum of 2 goals, they only ended up losing once. And that was in a shootout loss to the Flyers. So, 1 loss, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 4 wins and 1 shootout loss when the Oilers allowed not more than 2 goals. 4-0, 0-1. You have 0, 3, 3, and 0. The Oilers had a record of 0, 3, 3, and 0 when they allowed at least 3 goals. Or 0, 3, 1, and 2. When they allowed a minimum of 3 goals. So, not great. I mean, again, when your team allows at least 3 goals, it ain't good. And now to go with the Canucks, and now to go with the Calgary Flames. So I'm going in reverse, east to west geographically in Canada. So how the Flames do in February? Well, going to the game against the Bruins, the Flames have not had a very good record. To get back to NHL 500, the Flames are going to have to beat the Bruins. Good news for the Flames, Bruins play the game on Monday Eastern Time. Bad news, these Flames haven't done very well. So when the Flames have given up a maximum, how many times have the Flames scored a minimum of 3 goals? The first 2 games they did. So first 4 games, the Flames scored a minimum. TV. All right, so in 3 of the first 4 games, the Flames scored a minimum of 3 goals, ending up with a win and 2 overtime losses. 2 wins and 2 overtime losses. 2 wins, 1 regulation loss, and an overtime loss. Okay, so 2-1, 1-0 when the Flames scored a minimum of 3 goals. 2-1, 1-0. Excuse me. All right, get back here. So, all right. 1-0-1, 1-0-2, 2-0-2, 2-1-2, 3-1-2, 3-1-3. Played 3-1-3 when they've scored a minimum of 3 goals. They've lost all 3 games. All right, 1, 2, 3. All 3 games in regulation when they have not scored 3 or more goals. So yeah, their scoring has been a little bit of an issue. Enough games that they'll try to tip the scales. So what about if the Flames have allowed a maximum of 2 goals? All right, 1-1, 2-1. Oh yeah, 2-1. Their defense has not been very good. You can say, Markstrom and Vladar haven't done very well, but you know what? Defense also has to take responsibility. So that means that 1, 2. Okay, so 2-1 when they've allowed at least, at most 2 goals. So that means 1-3. 1-3, 3-0 with respect to wins and regulation overtime and shootout losses when they've allowed at least 3. Quite a number of games where the Flames have allowed at least 3 goals, and that ain't good. And now I'm going to get into the Canucks. And I'm going to go into there. So I'm going to go here, and Canucks are done for February, but during March. So, yeah. During February. So, just before I continue more, just thought I would do is to, what's the record since Rick Tocchet, hired on the 22nd of January Pacific Time, been? So you see there, they went 2-1 in January when he was after his hiring. 2-4, so that's 6-1-1 record during the reign of Tocchet. So how many games in February did the Canucks allow a maximum of 2 goals? I can count only 2. They are a win 2 weekends ago against the Flyers. So Artur's Shilovs. And an OT win over the Blues. Also, when Shilovs was a net. And now, since sent back down to the Abbey Canucks of the AHL with the reemergence of Thatcher Demko. Yeah. So yeah. So what does that mean? So, all right. So we have 2 games in February during which the Canucks allowed a maximum 2 goals. That means the other 9, they allowed a minimum of 3. And of those 8, of 8 of those games during which the Canucks allowed at least 3 goals, they allowed at least 4. That's not good. I thought that before I would go and just thought I would put for the just gonna do is I'm gonna just go to just gonna mute the volume on the YouTube channel here. So all I'm gonna do is go to. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just gonna try to go and just gonna try to get to the video. Very interesting video on the see a little bit of a drink there. All right, so interesting. Can't really find where the video is in my channel, in the history. I'm logging into YouTube. What I would do is go to very interesting video. All right, oh, very interesting. Luke Schenn traded back to the Leafs for a 3rd rounder in 2023 entry draft. Well, who knows? Well, Stone traded. All right, so I'm going to go to where do we go here? All right, T.J. Miller, Kravtsov. So what I would do is excuse me. What I would do, let's go to the very interesting question here. Score prediction. Who scored the first Canucks goal? Couldn't really answer that, so I admit I was wrong on that the Canucks were going to lose by, never mind by Leafs 2 goals. Well, first part I admit I got wrong. But with Tony Beauvillier newly acquired from the Isles, earlier this month, having barely had control of the puck during overtime, having contributed on what would turn out to be the game-winning goal. That game was decided by a knife edge against the Stars. Yes, I was wrong that the Canucks would lose, and that loss would be at least this many goals. Lose by this many goals. But I was not wrong that the Canucks would allow, against the Stars, at least this many goals. Indeed, the Canucks allowed this many goals. That's not good. I don't know where the Canucks' stats are defensively, but thought I would do is where is that there? Thought I would go to a tweet about the alright, thought I would do just try to do a little bit of a search on Edmonton Oilers and Canucks. There's like an interesting claim made on Twitter toward me that the Oilers, no Canadian team would win a Stanley Cup. It's been the MO since Batman. So let's just gonna see here and all right, so all right, so what I thought I would do is I need to do a little kind of like narrow it down in terms of hashtags, in terms of hockey teams. In terms of also include the Leafs, which is at Maple Leafs on Twitter. All right, so let's see here. All right, so let's go back to a game against the Avs for last weekend. And I look at the putting that period behind us, looking to light the lamp in period number 2. Well, that game turned out to be a loss. Suicide away, from Paul Simon. Yeah, one of my favorite songs of mine, written by Paul Simon, part of the Simon and Garfunkel duo. You probably no Canadian team would win the cup while it's on Gary Bettman's watch. Well, problem is, I don't blame Bettman as much as I do just how much latitude various GMs have gotten. I mean, Kevin Cheveldayoff has been GM for ever since the current Jets iteration moved from Atlanta, where it had been the Thrashers. So, Oilers won't be winning anytime soon. Just want them being schooled by Boston. Well, it would turn out to be a 3-2 loss in regulation. But again, to be fair, if the game hadn't been so close after 20 minutes, there might have been concern. And, yes. Yeah. Things had been looking good after 20 minutes. Well, well, let's look at Canucks Twitter and see how that game progressed. A good first. Well, all right, so I'm going to tweet that there. Luke Shen now acquired the 3rd-round draft pick from the Leafs. Who would have thought? Demmer has our vote. Okay, I'm going to go down and see. All right, so that's game highlights there. Yeah. All right, Demko. Yeah, Demko. Texas size W. Well, it definitely was a W, but it was a slim one. All right, so let me go down to what are the intermissions here. So let's go down to where it was. 4-3 Canucks after 2 periods. Well, yeah, having been outscored 2-1. Ooh, that's well. And after 60, it was all tied up. And you know what that means? Another game during which the Canucks have allowed a minimum of 3 goals. Well, they already allowed that minimum, by the end of the second period. Against the Bruins, the Canucks allowed 3 goals, But what's surprising is that they allowed the third goal so late in the game. Whereas against the Stars, the Canucks allowed their third goal of the game by the end of the second period. Wow. That's not good. These Canucks defensively have had serious problems. And they haven't gone away just because, Rick Tocchet has come in. Yes, Tocchet has brought structure, but defense has been an issue. What I would do is maybe go to, let's see about, Donnie and Daly show. Not gonna videotape any of it, just to mention, okay. Donnie and Daly show. Okay, so it's very interesting here. So, a couple videos of that show. I look forward to watching those, those clips I can. But again, it's still about the defense. Defense it's not been good. And it's just, I hate to say this. I mean, those things, I understand the feelings of those who just claim, Canucks fans who claim that they just want to see the Canucks just tank. Tank for Bedard, Fantilli or Michkov in the upcoming entry draft. Well, you know what? Drafting players in each round, at least particularly in the first three, matters. And yes, we look at the drafting well. That means drafting in each round. And not just in the first round. You never know when you may end up getting the next Dougie Gilmour. So, I'm going to go to... Alright, so what I thought I would do is... Alright, I'm going to go to... Alright, so I'm going to go to... Alright, so I'm going to try... I think of the... I'm going to see if I can search in Twitter for... You know what? I'll try this here. So what I would do is... Alright, so we'll go for... Alright, so what I'm going to do is... Hashtag draft steal. Draft steal. So type in the Twitter handle. And it wasn't alone. A very interesting report there. Doug Gilmour. So what was Doug Gilmour drafted? Just gonna see if I can. Just gonna see where I can go here. All right, me just go. All right, me just. All right, so I'm gonna go to. Doug Gilmour. One of the greatest draft steals of all time. He was drafted in the 7th round of his draft year. He was an amazing player for his time with the Leafs, helping lead the Leafs to 2 conference finals. I miss the days of Gilmour. We'll have to see what happens with all the trades Leafs have made, including recently the acquisitions of. Was it? Let me just see. All right. All right. So trade that brought Luke Shen from the Canucks back to the Leafs, and Gustafsson, Eric, was it? Was it? So Eric Gustafsson, so Luke Shen and Eric Gustafsson are the newest members of the Leafs roster. The Leafs got a first-round pick from the Caps, but shipped out a third-round pick from this year's draft to the Canucks. So yes, the question is, have the Leafs really improved, really anything in their roster? We'll see come playoff time if the Leafs can come anywhere near winning that first round series. That's because as much as I have criticized Kyle Dubas, the GM of the Leafs, for his failure to make very many deals, I do strongly believe that I do believe, however, as much as I've given this to Kyle Dubas' efforts to make the Leafs better, I do congratulate him for recognizing at long last the need to go all in to win a playoff series, a goddamn playoff series. Because that's what the Leafs have to do for starters. And in terms of whether Dubas should be judged on playoff success or lack thereof, I believe that Dubas should be judged on playoff success. And I hope the board of MLSE, the ownership group of the Leafs, Raptors, and a few other sports teams around the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area will judge Dubas on how far the Leafs go during the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs. And that's my hope. The problem is, I hope that the board of MLSE isn't fooled by a great regular season if the Leafs end up losing their first round series, most likely to the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's because, given the state of the Atlantic Division, the Leafs really need to win a playoff series. Given the state of the Atlantic Division, most likely, absolutely none of the Sabres, Wings, and Panthers, and Sens will manage to knock the Lightning out of third. All those four teams that are not in top 3 divisional spots, but ahead of the Habs, are likely just too far behind to knock the Lightning out. So that means the Leafs, a bit ahead of the Lightning, can pretty much be confident that they'll manage to win. They'll manage to go finish, worst case, third. And that matters. Whether the Leafs will win a playoff series, will win a playoff series this spring, we shall see. And in terms of whether a Canadian team will win the Stanley Cup, even if no Canadian team does, I couldn't care less, because I'll continue watching, following various Canadian teams, find out where they end up. After all, of course that should be the goal, particularly if that team happens to not be the Habs, to win a Stanley Cup. After all, it's been not since the 1990s since any Canadian team has managed to hoist a cup. And not since the 2010s has a non-Habs Canadian team even made it to a cup final. The Oilers did come 4 games short of making it to a cup final, but then again, it was because defense was just not very good against the Avs. And yes, the Oilers have not, since the playoff format was changed to, top 3 teams in each division automatically qualifying, and then 2 teams from each conference, not the top 3 of their divisions, getting to also qualify. The Oilers haven't beaten a team in the Central Division in the postseason. whether when the division has been operational or, well, like in each of the 2019-20 and 2020-2021 seasons, when the opponent was a traditional Central Division team. 2020, the Blackhawks; 2021, the Jets. And for the former, the earlier season was so severely disrupted by COVID that, well, that teams in each conference were ranked on points percentage, and 24 teams across the league end up seeing some sort of playoff action, whatever you call it. It's important to keep in mind that among those teams that 16 teams ultimately did win a playoff series, while 16 did not. Oh, if it over to me. Well, quite a number of them did, so very crazy season. But again, when it comes to 2020-21 season, that was the season of the North Division, which was an all-Canadian division. All Canadian teams, bar the Habs, only played games against each other, with the Habs winners of each North Division playoff series getting to play beyond Canadian teams the Golden Knights of the Pacific Division and the Tampa Bay Lightning of the Atlantic Division. The Golden Knights in a Stanley Cup semifinal, the Lightning in a Stanley Cup final. Rather unusual season because also disrupted by COVID and the NHL not really knowing when the best time was going to come to to start. Well, the NHL season 2020-21 started in January 2021. And Leafs did finish in first in their division, but when push came to shove and the games counted in the postseason, the Leafs were, when they had a chance to close out their first round playoff series, they didn't. Losing all three opportunities to do so to a Habs squad that would win that series in 7 games after the Leafs, despite the Leafs having at one point led that series 3-1. Well, I'm going to look forward very much to the various games that are going to take place. And when it comes to teams there, when I think of where things are in the Canadian teams, it's going to be interesting to find out how many do qualify. At this point, I picked the Leafs as a definite, near lock, pretty much a lock on seeing playoff action this season. The Oilers probably going to qualify as well, even though they're kind of not very secure. Not the most secure team in the world. I see the Jets as going either way. Although the Jets are in a playoff spot, they're in a wild card one. I have to see what happens against the Kings, particularly with the addition of Niederreiter from the Preds. The Flames are slipped out. I have to see what happens against the Bruins, but I don't like the Flames' chances. Quite simply, Bruins have been a very good team, and the Flames have had trouble keeping the puck out of their own net. So I see a Bruins win against the Flames as more likely than the reverse. That's even though the Bruins are playing the second of a pairing of games to be played on consecutive calendar evenings Eastern Time. So that leads me to the Sens. A Sens squad that's chasing a playoff spot, but still not quite in one. But again, who knows? The Sens may very well overtake the Flames on points at some point in March. Let's see what happens. But again, these Sens are playing the second game of a back-to-back. Keep in mind that ordinarily the Sens would have played their first home game against the Wings in December of this year, in December of last year, but ended up not being able to do so because of a major snowstorm that spared no part of southeastern Ontario. It's going to be very important for the Sens to get a win. Anything less, and it could be game over. On the other hand, look at the teams that are further back. So that leaves Canucks and Habs squads that are over 10 points back of playoff spots. The Habs, rebuilding, probably ain't going to get anywhere. Probably ain't going to see playoff action. They're probably just looking forward to the upcoming entry draft. The Canucks are, haven't done that well. Probably won't see playoff action either. But the games are fun to watch. Even though, yes, the Canucks have had big problems keeping the puck out of their own net. Okay, who cares about shutout? If they can't even allow under 3 goals, they're not going to win a lot of games. And this month they didn't. They won 4 games out of 11, and most of the games they did end up losing. They ended up losing in regulation. Yeah, we'll have to see to what extent the hiring of Rick Tocchet as head coach will help. Will help to some degree, but overall, defense has been a big problem. Can they keep the puck out of their own net more than twice? And can they keep the puck out of their own net? Can they keep the puck? Can they allow under 3 goals for once? It seems that those games have been this season few and far between. Anyway, to end off this video, what I thought I would do is mention that if you like it, click the like button. If you want to subscribe for at least bi-weekly insight on developments across the hockey and basketball worlds, at least with respect to the NBA and the NHL, to subscribe to my channel. You'll be sure to get the timely notification of videos that I put up. If you want to comment, please feel free to do so. Obviously, to make sure to respect YouTube's guidelines, YouTube's community guidelines. And yes, I'm going to get on with the evening, see where the rest of it goes, and I'm going to say goodbye from the Midtown Toronto condo suite from which I have chosen to film this YouTube video.